Hello again. Thank you, Madam President. I do appreciate that. I also want to express to the circle that I am, for one, and I think we all are as a caucus, appreciative of the fact that we were invited to come and negotiate or discuss, whichever way you want to look at it, our fiscal challenges here in the state of Connecticut. That really means a lot. I think a lot of progress was made. A lot of goodwill was generated, even though a final deal was not accomplished. So I, for one, appreciate that very much. Senator Kaine is right. We are constantly playing catch up. And when you put this into the perspective or against the backdrop of the fact that we have close to $100 billion of unfunded liabilities and bonded indebtedness in the state of Connecticut, we are having the time of our lives trying to balance a budget. And if we can't balance this budget consistently with nice, healthy surpluses, how are we ever going to address those long-term liabilities, whether they're funded now or not funded in theory going forward? And the answer is, I don't know, because every year it gets worse. The clock is always working against us. The time value of money is always working against us. So we have to get this right this time. We have to get it right this time. If we can't get it right this time, next year, next session, we have to get it right, because we are a ticking time bomb if we don't. This time of the year, I'm sure everybody goes to a lot of holiday parties, and you get to talk to probably 10 times as many people as you would under ordinary circumstances. And the talk down in our neck of the woods is of how many people are leaving. We're in the middle of deliberations at the tax panel. In fact, it's going on today, and I am here, not there, but ordinarily I would be there arguing this point, that our tax base is leaving the state of Connecticut. Our tax base is dramatically different than it was 7 years ago. A lot of people that used to work for UTC or some of the larger companies in the state may be working at Home Depot these days, and that's one of the reasons why our revenue targets are not being hit. Another is that we're losing our tax base. You talk to people, it is the talk of the town in Fairfield County, the number of people who are leaving. And then in this tax bill, you try to make that point with hard numbers, IRS numbers. The most recent study was a 3-year study, and the study before that was a 6-year study. And it's just irrefutable what's going on in the state. And I still get it back that these are numbers that can't be believed. Well, I don't know how much more hardcore numbers you can find anywhere, and they say that it's purely anecdotal. So in the last 4 months or so, we've had some major departures. And so my response will be this. I'll tell you what, Mr. Anecdote and Mr. and Mrs. Anecdote A left the state with about $4.6 billion in net worth. Mr. Anecdote B and his girlfriend left the state within that same period of time with a 14 and change billion dollar net worth. Put those two together, you're getting pretty close to $20 billion. They're brilliant investors. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but they're brilliant investors. And at a bare minimum, these guys are going to make 15% on an average basis. Multiply that times the 20 billion, close to it anyway, and apply our highest rate of 0.699% on capital gains, ordinary income, et cetera. That's a huge chunk of change. That would have taken care of our deliberations over the last 4 or 5 weeks since we learned that it was a $350, $360 million deficit. It is happening, ladies and gentlemen. It's got to stop. I know the whole notion of raising taxes will not come up this coming session, but it will again in the future. And I wouldn't be surprised if the tax panel, which is perhaps a little biased, will come up with that suggestion at the end of our deliberations, which will be imminently. So again, we've got to get this right. Otherwise, we're going to be, as a group, facing some people we're not going to want to face. And that's an angry Mr. Market who says no more GO bonds for the state of Connecticut. And then we're really in trouble because we don't have the cash flows necessary to keep government working, and it could get worse from there on in. Let's hope it doesn't. Everybody around here wants the very best for the state of Connecticut, and certainly for the future generations of Connecticut. But this fiscal house, if we don't get it right, there is not going to be a future for Connecticut. So let's put our heads together in the coming session and do all the right things. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Will you